Hi, everybody. My name's Richard Burns, and I am the host and founder of the Broken Responder podcast. And welcome to the show. It's episode 3. And, man, I feel a little bit different today talking about this time in my life, I guess, just a little bit. Then I'll be honest with you. Like, I have tried to record this episode, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 times. It's kind of a different transitional point in my depression, per se, kind of as we get a little bit further into it. Initially, it's going to be kind of a kick in the butt to me, kind of right off the bat, where I left off the last time. And it's just kind of difficult, because we're going to talk about my best friend. And his struggles. And that really tugs at my heart. So let's get into it. Without further ado, I guess. So we left off at about, I think it was August of 2024. And in that time frame, we had started making some medication changes. We had also had kind of done some sleeping medication, so my sleep's getting a little bit better. I'm still struggling with depression, and still kind of circling the drain, I guess is the best way to put it. And when I say circle in the drain, I'm talking deep, dark depression, kind of in a well, basically you're like floating, or you're like on your tippy toes, and you've got water basically to your neck. And it doesn't feel like there's any hope. It doesn't feel like there's no light you can see at that time. And it was a really rough time because we're making some medication changes because of the ones that are leaving me in the bathroom almost all day long. And so, let's get to September 27th of 2024 and why that's an important date to me. So on that date, my depression had got really bad again. I wasn't seeing a way out, and I don't know if that was a struggle with the medication change or what it was. But I was having a really, really rough time. And I once again made a video for my wife and boys, explaining to them that I didn't see a way out of this. I thought ending my life was the best thing. Because I felt like such a failure as a husband, as a father, a friend, a cop. Like it was endless. On top of, that kind of internal monologue that you've got going on inside your head. And I can tell you your worst enemy can say some of the most god-awful, mean stuff to you. But it's nowhere close to what your internal monologue can do to you. And it was a very depressing time for me. So on September 27th, like I said, I had made that video trying to explain everything and beg for forgiveness. And as I was getting ready to leave the house, I got a phone call from Billy. Billy and I have been friends for years. We've been through some stuff together. His youngest son is my godson. And Billy is just a good, genuine human being. He is, he's very sincere. He is a loving husband and father. And he's a great damn friend. Well, on September 27th, Billy calls me, and for some odd reason, I answer the phone that day instead of ignoring it. And I had never ignored a phone call from Billy. And Billy tells me, he goes, "Burns, I've got cancer. And they tell me I've got 2 months to live." And it's kind of a weird transitional time for me, because I was just thinking about how I'm going to go kill myself. And now I'm at a crossroads because my best friend truly is dying. And at that moment, it kind of was, other than a second point of divine intervention in my life, somehow it gave me another purpose. And that purpose was to be there for my friend. And I was still off on injury leave. I'm still trying to recover. I'm still struggling every day. I'm still not wanting to leave the house. But I knew I needed to go to San Diego to go see Billy, because that's where he was stationed at. And I sucked up everything I could, and I took a flight to San Diego. I spent a week with Billy initially, helping him get to the doctor's office, because my friend wasn't the same strong dude that he was. Man, Billy was a beast. Dude just use the terminology. Billy was built like a brick shithouse. I mean, the guy was just tough. But on top of being tough, man, if you were in Billy's circle, like, you were in, and if you were able to sit at his table and break bread with him, that man was a friend for life. And thankfully, I had that opportunity on several occasions. So I go out and I help Billy on a few occasions. I flew out, between therapy, therapy, EMDR therapy, talking to my psychiatrist, the shrink. Some of the therapy sessions I did kind of telehealth with my therapist to work on stuff. And spending time with Billy really helped me, because it put everything into perspective for me. As adult men in our 40s, we had conversations in person and on the phone that at our age, I don't think any husband, father, or friend wants to have. And we had those. I got to witness some absolutely beautiful moments between Billy and his wife. And I absolutely will not share those, because those are their memories and they deserve those. I was just lucky enough to witness them. But I will tell you that I got to see what true love is. Billy was in pain. He was in a lot of pain. God, that dude they had him on so many opiates, it was ridiculous. And despite all the opiates that he was on, man, there were still sometimes it never touched his pain. But in Billy's moments, there were some times that he would get upset. And I think rightfully so. But I think sometimes he moved that anger in places that it didn't belong, and him and I would talk about that. But I tell you what, man, his wife would she would redirect it, and she showed love, compassion, and dedication And for that, I am eternally grateful for her, because she helped him through it all. And she just had, I can't even imagine the pain that she's in right now. Because unfortunately, Billy passed in March of this year. And I know she's hurting. And I know the kids are hurting. And it's a shitty situation all the way around. But being with Billy, and kind of sharing in his journey with cancer, it was a lot. But it also made me realize, to a certain extent, that life is way too fragile. And since then, I have not thought about suicide ever again. I have had some really, really rough days. But I have quit thinking about that, just because of, man, that those few months that I got extra with Billy really, really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I can't tell you, that I'm perfect, because I'm not. But I have done everything I can to try to be a better husband, and a better father, and a better friend, to those around me that I truly care about. And I say that because there was 2 times in my life where I didn't think I deserved to be here, and I didn't want to be here. But after seeing Billy and his wife and the kids go through that stuff, man, it was definitely an awakening for me, because instead of being, upset that I am having a difficult time, or that I am struggling, it turned into being thankful that I have another day on this earth. And for some people, everybody's different. And like I said, I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I've looked into some of these things, and then some of it is, stuff that I've talked about with my care team, as far as my therapist and my psychiatrist. And some people have not necessarily a religious experience, but some things are emphasized a little bit more. And like I said, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I absolutely despised pretty much all organized religion. I can't tell you the last time I have, other than going to a wedding, have stepped into a church. And still to this day, I really haven't stepped into a church. But I do believe that there is a higher power. And for me, like I said, it's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it by any means. But I find myself saying my prayers every night before I go to bed. There are a set list of things that I talk about and that I pray for, to include my wife, both of our boys and their significant others, the daughter-in-law, and our oldest. Actually, our youngest son is married, and our oldest, I don't know where it's going, but I think it's going in the right place, because I just helped move his girlfriend out to Kentucky at the end of July. And things like that have given me hope for another day. I feel terrible sometimes that I even thought that I was that low in my life. And during this time also, I'm getting told by Workman's Comp that they are going to be sending me for my Max Medical Improvement Evaluation, MMI. And it's basically ends up just being an interview with my psychiatrist and receiving a disability percentage, which goes into a whole computation of things and everything else. But I can't look at medically retiring or anything else until this is done and they've cleared me or whatever it is they're going to do. By this time, I pretty much have my mind made up that I am unable to complete the job again. And it's not that I can't lie to you and say a small portion of me doesn't miss it, because I do. But I don't want to deal with people's nonsense anymore. I kind of think it's, where you have that time frame. I saw a deal the other day where your 40s, once you hit their 40s, you're kind of looking for peace in your life. And if something doesn't bring you peace or it destroys your peace, it's time for a change. And my wife had been talking to me for years about getting out of law enforcement and doing something else. And at that time, I didn't want to give up pushing a patrol car. I had a blast. I didn't want to sit in an office looking out a window. I tell you right now, man, I'd take that office with a window almost any day of the week now. But I didn't listen to my wife. I also didn't pay attention to any of the signs that I should have seen about my behavior or everything else. And I tell you that because I teach officer survival. I taught it in-house for our academy, and I taught it at our local community college for their law enforcement academy. I teach all of that material. How could I be so blind to miss how depressed and dark and everything else that I am and not be able to recognize it? So it was tough. In that decision. But in talking to, my care team, my psychiatrist, my therapist, Workman's Comp, my wife, especially, and then my friends, Marty, Wags, Logan, and Billy. And the consensus was, and especially after talking to my wife, I worked with, that have been in more than 2 shootings. There are guys down there that have been in multiple critical incidents. I think one of them has 5, another one has 4 or 5. There's several people that have been down at that agency that have been in multiple critical incidents. And my wife made a very valid point to me. She was like, what do you think the odds are of you having another critical incident if you were to go back? And let's face it, living and working in Pueblo, Colorado, the chances of that are pretty freaking astronomical. I mean, I don't know if you saw the news here lately, but Pueblo, Colorado has made the top 10 most dangerous places in the nation. And we're talking, cities like Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois. Pueblo, Colorado is number 10. And we don't even have anywhere close to the amount of people of any of those 9 cities ahead of us. We are like a 10th or smaller of those cities. And so after listening to everybody, the decision was made it's probably the best for me to medically retire or apply for the medical retirement. And so waiting for, the MMI paperwork to come in and all of that stuff, it happened. Well, getting to the medical retirement is a little bit further ahead, but the point of that is, the decision was made. I'm going to apply to be medically retired out of law enforcement. So as we get towards, November and December, I've gone back out, a few times to help Billy, to try to help give his wife a break so she can, focus more on the, doing stuff with their kids. Also, just giving her a break so she can relax and kind of, take care of herself. Christmas rolls around, and I wanted to make Christmas cookies. Well, my wife's at work, and I had also, PTSD brain, let's back it up a little bit. So with the med change, there was an addition to the med change. So at that time, I'm taking like 300 milligrams of Wellbutrin daily, and I am having absolutely god-awful, like, migraine headaches, laying in a dark room, sunglasses on with a cold washcloth, and kind of begging, your body to, be able to vomit to get rid of that pressure from that headache. And if you've ever had migraines, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about when it comes to that, like, pressure. But it was that bad. And so I began to eliminate things that I knew, like I normally did, kind of on a daily basis, to see which one of those was the culprit of my headaches. Well, as Christmas rolls around, again, now we're back at that, I am making Christmas cookies, wanting to make Christmas cookies. I am on about the end of day 2 of not having my 300 milligrams of Wellbutrin, because that's pretty much the last thing I can think of at the time that's causing my headaches. And I couldn't find the cooling racks, the little ones you put the cookies on after you get them out of the oven so they have time to cool, and they're not on the baking sheets, and you can reload the baking sheets and get them back in the oven. So I'm wanting to make mint chocolate chip cookies. And I can't find the cooling racks because they aren't where they normally are in our kitchen, which is odd because my wife is a very organized, detail-oriented person, maybe with a hint of OCD. Sorry, babe, I love you. Don't kill me. But she's very thorough, and things have a place in our house. And I am most likely the culprit of that item not being in the same place. So I'm trying to find these cooling racks because I need them to make cookies. Can't find them. I'm texting my wife at work. My texts go from, hey, I can't find these, to like panic. Panic turns into calling her, which turns into panic call if I can't find these cookie sheets. And I, after we get off the phone, I am spiraling out of control over cookie sheets. And when I say spiraling out of control, I mean spiraling out of control. It is just a really, really rough time. And after I pretty much have a mental breakdown, my wife calls me back and she's like, have you taken your medication? And I was like, not in 2 days. And she's like, you need to take your medication now. Okay, I will go take my medication. I finally found the cooling racks, that went by, but that was scary. I literally had a panic attack over cookie cooling sheets, if you can believe it. And it just, I don't know, it was a scary experience having like that panic attack, because it was like, man, like scary movie panic. So as we get past Christmas, things are okay. Get into New Year's, things are okay. The suggestion is to, for me to retire. And so I do. I have to gather a bunch of paperwork from all the doctors that I've seen. The original department shrink who I saw originally, I had to pay that shrink $100 for them to transfer their notes. I was like, you can't give me one, whatever. I guess if I have to pay you $100 to copy it over, then fine, I will do that. I had to try and get all of these doctors to sign a form from the retirement for the fire and police here in Colorado. In those notes, it basically says, am I, mentally fit, or whatever, or fit to carry out the responsibilities, of my occupation. And if not, is it temporary or is it permanent? A couple of the doctors, would not fill out that information, so I had to, hit the dry throats. I had to get in for, so I would get their emails denying that they would, not sign my paperwork. So I collect all this information up and I have to send it off to the retirement company. And thankfully for you guys, let me slide my little microphone over here just a little bit. We're going to take a look at this paperwork because it's ridiculous. I have a giant head. I wear a ball cap normally, 7 5/8, whatever. A little bit longer now that, I'm growing out my mullet. This is my retirement packet. That is what I had to turn in to be able to retire or attempt to retire, because they needed all of the medical documentation on the whole process. That's from, most of it is 2023 some of it's 2023. And then we go into 2024. It's kind of overwhelming to collect all of that paperwork. And I don't know why I'm getting choked up about it. It's kind of like a happy moment, though. I will tell you, it is overwhelming, though, to fill out that packet. And had it not been for a couple of other coworkers that I had who had also medically retired, shout out to Seth and Chad. Thank you for the help on that, because that is daunting. I don't know if I would be medically retired right now. Because it's a lot of stuff that you have to get. And then on top of it, you have to see 3 more of the retirement companies, their independent psychiatrists, and be interviewed by them. And then they have to form an opinion, along with your care team that has formed an opinion. And then it basically goes to the board, and they vote on if they are or aren't going to allow us to retire. So by this time it's January, into January, for this process, as far as where I'm at in the, care. I'm still in therapy, but now we're working towards medical retirement. So as we're doing this, Billy somehow has made it a little bit longer. In February of 2025 was the last time I got to see my friend alive. there was a bunch of us that kind of came out, surprised him for a long weekend. And, man, the stories, the memories. It was a good time. It's one of the best times in my life recently. But as we get through this story, we get to the point where I've had my interviews. I've pretty much been told that they are going to medically retire me. And I'm also still not really hearing from anybody from work. So I'm still struggling with the fact that I feel like I'm on my own. I get that they're going through their own stuff, but still, man, just basic human decency. So as I'm going through the process, I get told basically that February 28th of 2025 is the day that the board has the meeting. I get told by the representative that I have that the board is meeting today. They have my retirement packet, and that they will be letting me know, hopefully by late afternoon, what the result of that vote is. And I am glued to my cell phone that day, just waiting for a call. I am hoping for the best, not wanting to expect the worst, not knowing what to do if that worst happens. But I'm waiting on that call. And, dang it, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. So at the beginning of February, middle of February, I have to go down to Human Resources. Human Resources tells me that they can, they've got my paperwork. They can see what jobs I can have within the city. And we're just waiting on, whatever open job I want to take with the city. Well, at the time, the only thing they really had was ditch diggers, and I didn't want to do that. I also didn't want to go to the water treatment plant and play with poop, and so I didn't take that. So at the time, they didn't have anything. There was actually one thing, and I told them I would take that, but then they're like, oh, sorry, that's on us. We didn't realize. Actually, it's been offered. We can't offer this to you. So, thanks, guys. After that, they tell me, well, if we can't find anything for you now, you can take a year unpaid leave of absence from the city. And during that time, if something comes up, you can still get it and apply for it. And it would be just like a internal, city hire, lateral move, I guess is the best way to put it. So I'm planning on most likely probably going to take that year of unpaid leave. Well, February 28th is rolling around, and, I get the call earlier, mid-morning, telling me that the board had met earlier, it's voted on, and I'm officially retired. And I can't tell you what it felt like to have that weight off of my chest. To know that I went through hell and back. I climbed the mountain, I fell down the mountain, and I went to fucking hell. But I was climbing back out. And thankfully, I was afforded and given the opportunity to be able to medically retire. Only to find out that the year of unpaid leave I was told I could take wasn't ever a possibility, and they never told me that. So now I'm angry because I I'm frustrated with my employer. So I didn't take anything with the city. I make enough money in my retirement that I can live. I just want peace in my life. And that's peaceful. So from there, I go to get my checkout list from the department. Because I have gear in my locker, and I have some gear at home that I know I have to return to the city. I get up to the third floor, which we call it's basically admin floor, investigations, and our dispatch center. Well, I go up to the third floor. I walk into the other side of the chief's office where one of the other secretaries is that manages all of our equipment. And I ask her for my equipment checkout list. I get it, and one of the deputy chiefs walks out of his office. He looks at me and he says, "Hey, Burns, how's your wife doing?" While I appreciate the gesture, I respond with, "I haven't been here in over 9 months, and your first concern is how my wife is?" And he says, "We knew how you were." And I said, "How could that be? Because I didn't get a phone call from you. I didn't get a text from you. I didn't hear from you at all. So how would you know how I truly am?" And then the deflection starts, because they can see that I'm irritated, because you've struck a chord with me. Now I will apologize, because when I got down to the second floor to kind of start doing some of the stuff I needed to do, I was angry. I was hot-headed, and I was hurt. So I was short with a few people. And to those people, I apologize again, and I've apologized to them before since this. But you just make a person feel unwanted. And that's not right. And especially from a leadership position. It's uncalled for. So I get my gear turned in. And I go about my business. Well, a couple weeks prior to my retirement, I'm still recovering from another surgery that I had. And I use CBD. I use a CBD cream to help that heal. If you've never done it, well, I'm not telling you have to do it. You don't have to believe in it. So I have to go to a weed shop to get it because it contains 1/100% of THC. So I get that. And at the time, I asked the gentleman, I was like, "Man, I've heard some stuff about marijuana, the gummies, and I'm just kind of curious." So I did. I purchased it, and I kind of sat on it for a bit. Well, retirement came. It's time to partake. And I did. And I can't tell you what, man. Dare was such a liar. Man, you guys tricked me in 6th grade. The things you told me that I would do for marijuana? Come on now. The edible gummies are absolutely amazing. The first time I ever tried it, I felt like I had a weighted blanket on my body, and I was just relaxed. I don't have hallucinations. You don't see things. It's basically the best parts of being drunk with none of the crappy side effects. It helps calm me down, it helps relax me, and it also helps me get ready to unwind and go to bed. And for that, I am grateful that I have found it. I'm not saying everybody has to believe in it. I'm just saying it works. And sometimes not all the stuff we're told is true. But with that, I'm an outcast now. Because I do marijuana. Okay. I don't see why we hold grudges. We have people that have died from alcoholism. We have people that take medications for pain. Every cop party I've been to, there is a plethora of booze. Is that any better? I don't know. I don't hold it against them. But I think the way that we look at things in a progression, I mean, it's 2025, people. I, for one, never thought that I would do any THC-related product, but I absolutely love it. I'm not going to force it on anybody. I don't tell anybody they should do it. It's up to that person. But it has been a blessing in disguise in my life because I have been some of the most relaxed ever. My wife and I have some of the best conversations because I have zero inhibitions. Just like being drunk, I'll tell her. You guarantee me if she asks me how I really am, I really tell her. And for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful because I quit being a crappy husband. And I actually began to listen to my wife. And realized that she is far stronger and far wiser than I ever gave her credit for. And for that, I'm ashamed, but I'm also eternally thankful that she is still here. Because she is the best thing that's ever happened to my life. And I just don't think she gets enough credit for me. So now, hopefully, YouTube, whatever else, I think I've got this on Spotify. Hopefully, I hope she gets it. I'm in it for the long haul with her. Because that's what she deserves. She gets a better version of me now. A version that isn't upset all the time. A version that isn't always going to tell her no and that her idea is stupid or that it's dangerous. I understand some of the places we want to go are dangerous, but I don't necessarily worry about always having to be armed. One, because I don't do that when I am under the influence of any THC. But two, I'm not as paranoid as I used to be about everybody being the bad person. Hell, I grew out my beard and my hair in just complete... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? We used it with our parents. We did it to our parents. And now I can't remember the stinking word. Rebellious. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. I grew my hair out and my beard out in a rebellion. I've come across coworkers that I had worked with for years, and they have not recognized me. I don't know. It's like my little Clark Kent disguise, and I love it. Because normally, without my headphones on, keeping this back right now, I look like a big Sasquatch. Thank you, everybody, for listening to my story. I'm so thankful to be alive. And I'm thankful that God gives me another day every day, that I get to open my eyes. But as promised, we're going to start doing some big things. I've already set up my first interview, and hopefully by next Wednesday, I will be able to make that happen. And by that time, actually, it'll be the Wednesday following this, I guess, by the time this hits, hopefully on Sunday. And I'm really excited to hear this story. And I know some of the guys and gals that may listen to this story that I have coming up is different, but it excites me because it still is about somebody else's pain and what they went through. But that person's on the other side. They're still here. Even when they thought about taking their life and the attempts didn't work. We're going to get through this, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to lose any more brothers and sisters. And I don't care what type of uniform you have on. If you're a police officer or a firefighter, a dispatcher, or paramedic or EMT. And after talking to some of the folks in comments, absolutely, I would like to also talk to spouses. Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to convince my wife to get on here and talk to the world about our issues. But I know my wife has a story, just like the other spouses. And I want to get help for us all. We don't need to lose. Life still gets better every day. I have good days, and I have bad days. But my bad days, if they start to get bad, I can recognize that. And I know that I need to talk to my wife. I need to get everybody else in my care team involved, if need be. But 9 times out of 10, just talking to my wife makes it better. Because I actually know I can tell her. Because she walked through hell with me, just on a different path. So, thank you. You made a fat guy happy. Also, that kid from Nebraska, because we're corn-fed, man. I'm looking forward to college football, ladies and gentlemen. It only happens at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. But thank you, and I will see you next Sunday.